All right. Good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing? Um, like you all know, I am Emma-Shorthand, Gabriel Emmanuel Uchichukwu. Last week, or the last lecture we had, it was all about the introduction and the consonants, the 24 consonant strokes that we have. All right. Now, the next topic that we are going to treat today is the placement of vowels. Placement of what? Vowels sound. Now, according to the last lecture we have, how many vowels do we have? We recorded it that we have 12 vowel sound. Now, which 6 of them is light vowel sound, and the other 6 is heavy. So now we have vowel sound, and we have 12 in numbers. Now we are going to start from this placement of vowel. It has 3 categories. Placement of vowel have 3 categories. We have the first place, we have the second place, and what? We also have the what? The third placement. Now, looking at this, like I said in the other class, placement of vowels, if you want to know shorthand very well, you have to get acquainted with your consonants, your vowels, and your what? Diphthong. Consonants, how to have them by heart, and how to represent them, identify them whenever you hear them. Now the vowels placement. The vowels represent your dots and your what? And your dash. And lest you forget, consonants represent what? Your strokes. Consonant represents strokes, while vowels represent what? Dot and dash. Now, for we to start, we are going to start from what? Our first placement. We'll start from our first placement. And each of these placements, the first placement, the second placement, and the third placement, they have their own rules that is guiding them. They have their own rules that is guiding them. And now we must live by that rule in order to do what? To visualize or to be able to put up the write-up that is concerning these placements. Now, the rule of the first placement is this. Whenever a or is heard in a word, that is, whenever a or appears to be the first vowel sound in that word, the first consonant stroke, the first stroke will be above the line. Let me repeat myself. I said, whenever you hear a sound, or you hear o as the first vowel sound of that word, or in that word, you will put your first consonant stroke. Like I said, consonants represent strokes. You put your first stroke above your line. Like I said, you don't write on a clean sheet. Before you write an outline, definitely you must have a line like this. And that line will identify where your outline will be. Now, let's just continue. Now, like I said, whenever you hear a or you hear o, the first consonant stroke in that word will be above the line. Now let's take for instance, like we said, your a represents your dot, while o represents your dash. A represents dot and o represents your dash. Now, for we to continue, we need an example. All right. Let's take the example here. First of all, put our line. Let's take, for example, we want to write rat. Want to write rat. Like I said, first of all, without your vowels, it is not possible for you for the strokes there to be meaningful. Therefore, it is with your vowels that gives the stroke or the consonant more meaning to the word. For example, we remove this A here. What we have here is R, Ray, and T. It doesn't have any meaning. It's just a letter. In shorthand, is a stroke. Now, we have A. If you want to pronounce this, pronounce re-at, re-at, re-at. Though we're going to get to a point, this your re here has two types of R. We have re going up and we have R coming down. We'll get to a point where we'll have the use of R, but not in this chapter. Alright, now let's continue. I won't take much of our time. What we are doing today is the first and the second placement. Then the third placement, we will do it at our next lecture after this one. Alright, we are here with rat, ra, re, at. Now, the first consonant stroke we are hearing, remember, for those, if you are more conversant with the last class, we say your re is going up. It's a straight upward stroke and it's a light stroke. Now, for the rule of the first placement, it says whenever you are hearing a or o as the first vowel sound in that word, the first stroke will be above the line. Now, how is it going to be? This is your re and this is your t. We'll just put it first stroke being above the line. Obey the rules. Re and T. Now, placement. A is a what? Is a dot. And the placement of that dot will be on your re. It will be on the re. It will be on your R, which is your re. Now, if this is your stroke, let's take for instance, this is your stroke. This side of your stroke is before, and this side is after. Why I put it this way is this. This side is when your vowel sound is coming before the stroke. That is where you put it here. You put your any vowel sound that appears before the stroke, you place that vowel sound here. And any vowel sound that appears after the stroke, you place it here. And now, in this stroke, we have the first, we have the second, and we have the third. And now, like I said, before the stroke, after the stroke. Definitely, if you are hearing A, which is a what? A first placement. If it's coming before the stroke, you put it here. If the first placement vowel is coming after the stroke, you place it here. The same thing applicable to your second placement, your second vowel, and your third vowel placement. Now, what are we having here? Your re. The way the re is being written is going up, and your T is coming down. So on your re, this side is your what? Your before, and this side is your after. So for you to place your A very well, let's check. The A there, is it coming before the R, the re, sorry to say, or after the re? Let's check. Now, as we all see, the A is coming after the re. Now, and this means that the R will be below the re. Therefore, you put it here. Because this is the first and this is the second, and this is the third. Let's take another example. If you have something like this, if you have something like, let's take this, this. What do we have here? P, A, T. Though it will get to a stage, we'll use what we call halving principle. But let's use this as an example, just to give an instance. Alright, now, this P, A, T is your part. This part. Now, this part, which vowel are we hearing there? A. And A as a vowel. And it is the first vowel and only vowel in that word. Now, what determines the placement of your first consonant stroke? What determines the placement of your first consonant stroke is your first vowel. Now, you will use the first vowel in that word to determine where you will put your what? Your first stroke. Now, A now tells us that what? It is a what? A first vowel. Now, the rule of the first vowel states that, let me remember you. Whenever you hear A or O as the first vowel sound in that word, you place the first stroke of that word above the line. Now, with this explanation or these rules of the first placement, P is being written like this. Now, P, Pa, P and T. First of all, what we call to join your stroke. We did that last week. You join your stroke. You would first of all join your P and your T before you place your vowel sound. Now, as we all see here, the A, is it coming before the P or after the P? Definitely, it's very clear and very obvious. It's coming after the P. Now, as we just lately explained, this side is when a vowel is coming before the stroke, you put it here. When it's coming after the stroke, you put it this side. Now, the A is coming after P, and this is what? Before P. Why this what? After P. Now, remember, it's a first placement, so you put it at the what? The first. At it being, we have something like this. If I erase this vowel I placed here, and I put this vowel here, what does it mean? The pronunciation of this word will change, because the A is now before the P. Now, the pronunciation will change. It will now be act instead of this, because the A is coming before the P, while here A is coming after the P. Okay. Let's give an example of your O, which is your dash. Now, we have something like this. You have, let's say you have pot. Let's say you have pot. Now, this is your pot. We have P, O, and T. For those who have the challenge to pronounce P, A, O, T, which is your pot. Now, the rule says what will determine the placement of your stroke, of the first stroke is your what? The first vowel. And now, as we all see, we have only one vowel in this word, which is O, and it's also the first vowel. Now, definitely, we are going to use the rule of what? The first placement. We'll put P, T, making sure that your P is above the line. It should be very obvious. If you want to write your P above the line, it should not be to this level. It should not be to this level. It should not be to the. It should be clearly observed. It should be clearly observed. the distance from where the P is ending to your line. So now your pot O is representing what? Your dash. While R represents your dot. So if you want to represent O in an outline or on a stroke, you use your dash. If you want to represent R, you use your dot. Now, pot, and then pop. If O is coming after the P, it comes here. Let me give you guys this exercise. If I now apply this as a dot there, that dot there, remember I placed that dot at the what? The first place of your P. Definitely, it shows that it is a what? The rule is a what? Is R. It shows that what? That dot is R. If you want to transcribe, you show that that dot is what? R. So definitely, if you want to pronounce or read this outline out, you say apport. Apport. You are pronouncing the R, then your P, then your O, and then your T. Apport. So now, if you want to do another one, if I have something like this and put something like this, it will be opt to change. Not be opt. Not be opt. So I'll move into the second consonant stroke, the second placement. I mean, we move into the second placement. If you want to ask any question, you can go to my comment listen and comment, or you go to my WhatsApp. You can chat me up on my WhatsApp on 091 26 38 38 73. 091 26 38 38 73. In case you have any questions to ask, you can reach me on this line on WhatsApp. Alright, let's continue. Now, we have the second placement. Shorthand, you take shorthand bit by bit. You understand? Now, second placement is not hard. It's just, if this is your stroke, if this is the first, this is the what? Is the second. So now, the rule applicable to this second placement is whenever you hear, remember, you have to create a differentiation between the first placement, the second placement, and the third placement. Now, the rule of second placement states that whenever you hear A or O, you place the what? The first stroke of that word on the line. That is, whenever A or O appears to be the first vowel sound you are able to hear when you are pronouncing that word. If A or O appears to be the first vowel sound, then it shows that what? The first stroke will be on the line. Coming to the first placement, remember I said whenever you hear A or O, it will be, the first stroke will be above. Now, this in second placement will be on the line. For example, let's make that example again. Example of this. Please, if you have your writing material, you can write with me, please. What are they? A and T. Now, what is the difference between this, your part, and your what? Your pit. Now, here we digress into English. Like I said, English and shorthand, they go hand in hand. In English, you can describe to shorthand, and in shorthand is English. So shorthand is another way of writing so fast to meet up with your expectation. All right, now on this, at, P-E-A-T, your pate, P-A-T, your part. Now, the difference between this and this is just the E. Let's look at this. The E here is not pronounced pete. It's not pronounced, the E doesn't have any sound. Now, the difference between this and this E, in English we call it the what? Magic E. This is a magic E, the E that does not have any sound. Definitely, if there is a consonant in between two vowels, the first vowel and E, that E will make this first vowel to sound its letter. And the letter of A is A. So here, A is sounding A here, but the letter of A is A. So this E here will now make A to sound like A. And you have your pate. So now, this is your pate. Whether you hear A or O. Now, the first consonant stroke will be on the line. Make sure it's on the line. Then your 2. As far as this, we are talking about the second placement, where you put your A or your O, and again, lest I forget, your A represents your dot, your A represents your dot, while your O represents your what? Your dash. Now, according to the name that is implied on this section we are into, second placement, definitely it should tell you that we are at the what? Second. This vowel we are hearing or we are dealing with right now will be at the what? Second, before or after the stroke. Let's go now. I hear P8.